Hey everybody, Belinda Sandor here. Lessons from the Cockpit. Today we're going to talk about how to handle mistakes. When you're a virtual assistant, it's highly possible and even probable that you're going to make a mistake, right? We all make mistakes. The key to the mistake is really thinking about how we're going to handle it. How we're going to handle it, what we're going to do. And it's really funny. I just made a mistake. I'll just tell you right now, I didn't set this up so I could see my notes. Okay. So the thing about mistakes though, is that you really want to be transparent. You want to be forthcoming when it happens, and you want to try to remain calm, right? So that's really important. So while we're getting kind of warmed up here, let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know where you're coming in from. So Lessons from the Cockpit it's a live stream show that I do every Friday at noon. I look forward to it every week. And this is where I share my tactical and practical lessons, weekly trainings to try and really get you going in your business, in the right direction with confidence. And it's something I look forward to every single week. And today, like I said, we're going to talk about making mistakes. So the VA Connection is my free online community, and at the VA Connection, we help aspiring and establish virtual assistants create really the business of their dreams. I'm very committed to that. And here's the key. With the skills you already have, I am a firm believer that you don't need to have a lot of, tech, a lot of design, a lot of, skills that you may think you need, like social media, in order to be a successful virtual assistant. You absolutely don't. So I really want you to think about that and open your mind as we go into this training today. So Christina's here. She's here from Athens, Greece. Hello, hello, hello. And I know there's a lot more of you out there. I can see you. So please say hi. Let me know where you're coming in from. Okay. All right. So first I'm going to introduce myself a little bit more. So this is me and my daughter. My delicious daughter, I like to refer to her as when she was 9 years old, 11 years ago. And it was when I was just starting out as a virtual assistant. And I have to say, it was absolutely one of the lowest points in my life. I was overwhelmed. I was uncertain. I was a newly single mom, all of these things. And I had no idea how I was going to get myself out of this mess because it was huge. Like we had to move 3 times in 4 years. The debt was so severe that I had not been able to pay the mortgage in well over a year. So you can imagine the other things that were piling up as well. And it was very, very stressful. But here's the thing, you know what? I knew that I wanted to get out of the struggle. I wanted to not only get out of the struggle, but I wanted to figure out how to thrive. And it was so stressful because I couldn't see a path. I absolutely couldn't see a path. And for me, if I can see a path, like, okay, I'm doing it, But the thing about not understanding, because I knew if I went out and got a job making $50,000 or $60,000 a year, it wasn't going to work. Like that wasn't going to be enough. I couldn't be in a place where I was waiting for somebody to give me a 2% living increase. I had to start being able to be in charge of making money and knowing where it was going. So that wasn't going to do it. And the other thing was, it took me a really long time to get Emily. That was a struggle too, but all worth the struggle. And the thing is that I wanted to be with her. I wanted to be a Girl Scout leader. I wanted to be at the bus stop. I wanted, my life has always been pretty simple. I've had some advantage, but at times, but for the most part, it's really about, I'm a homebody. I love to hang out at home. I wanted to have these everyday things be important, like baking cupcakes, or like this weekend, I'm making a bunny cake, Those are the kinds of things that I like to do. And like I said, I am really comfortable being at home. And so I had to figure out what I was going to do to make that happen. So I decided to do admin work because I had done it in the past. I knew how to do scheduling. I knew a little bit about Constant Contact. I knew I had built a website on AOL. Now I'm showing you exactly how old I am, which is 61. And I knew how to figure things out. That was it. And a lot of people came to me, can you help me figure out what's wrong with my PowerPoint? Can you help me figure out what's wrong with my website? Can you help me figure out? And I like that skill. I have had it for a long time. And so I just started telling everybody that I knew that I was doing admin work. And one day I was at the school bus stop and one of the dads said, what's new? And I said, I'm doing admin work, for entrepreneurs and small businesses. I had no idea what I was talking about. And he said, oh my gosh, I just started a business a month ago. I'm going crazy. I had no idea. His wife was like, hire her. And we started working together, doing everyday stuff, paying the bills. I set up his QuickBooks. I knew how to do that because I had been an office manager before. But things that were very commonsensical to me, that I could do, checked his email, things like that. And then my next client I got at the buffet line of a wedding reception. I was holding my plate, getting my food, and I started talking to him, and he gave me his business card. I told him what I was doing. I didn't even have a business card at the time, and I connected with him on LinkedIn, which felt like I was asking him to marry me. That was a long time ago, and I just was so uncomfortable with social media and LinkedIn. It just felt so public to me that it was kind of a big deal back then for me to connect with someone. But I connected with him. A couple of weeks later, he got in touch with me. Can you help me set up an event, in-person event? I said yes. I helped him. And after that, we talked, and he said, I want to do webinars. I don't know how to do webinars, but I like working with you, and I think you can figure it out. Would you figure it out for me? And he paid me to figure it out. And now I do them all the time. I still do them with him. All these years later, we're doing one next month on storytelling. So this is how it kind of unfolds. You just have to start telling people, what you're up to. And so here's the thing. So now I've been in business 11 years. It's like 11 years. I was on LinkedIn last night, and it's like 11 years and 8 months, almost 12 years. I've worked with over 225 clients, and I've made over $1 million, like actually sitting in the chair that I'm sitting in right now. So it's kind of crazy when you think about once you decide what you're going to do and you're consistent and you keep taking steps, what you can create. And so I've gone from relying on other people for money to really being 100% self-reliant. I can take care of myself. And that is a very powerful place. And that's why I love to help other women and men get to that place as well, because you have choices. You actually have choices then. So Sabrina's here. Hello, Sabrina. Hello, hello, hello. And Lori and Janet. All right. Yay. Yay. So let's look at what it looks like today. Okay. So that's what it looks like in terms of my business, but this is what it looks like in terms of my life. So this is my husband, Greg. I'm still not used to saying that. I think we've been married 9 months, and these are our kids. So we have a team now. Emily is going to be 21 in a couple of months, and I never would have thought that I was going to get from that place of such struggle to this, because it was a journey, I'll tell you. But at the core was being self-reliant, taking those steps, being afraid, doing it anyway. What's the expression I heard the other day? Do it scared. Okay, you're scared, do it scared. Fine. You're freaking out, do it freaking out, whatever it is, So my finances are handled, that I'm not rushing around making minimum payments. I have a plan. I'm able to put some money away now, things that I never, ever thought. My business is thriving, and mostly, I can breathe again. I don't wake up and think, what's bouncing today? That was really stressful. So I would love to hear who's ready to jump into the training right now about mistakes. It's an important one. It's a really important one, how we handle them, how we feel about mistakes. So I've made about 10,000 mistakes in my life, easily. I've been, like I said, a VA for 11, almost 12 years. I still make mistakes. I made a mistake this weekend. It happens. It totally happens. Hello, Deanna. Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad you're here. Mistakes are just, what happened. But here's the thing. I remember making some really big mistakes. I'm going to tell you about some of them in a minute. But when I make a mistake and it's on someone else's stuff, it's like all the blood leaves my body. I'm just like, whew, and it's very scary. And so I want to talk about the feelings because if we can manage our feelings, we can manage the mistake, right? We can definitely manage them. And Christina says she's ready. All right. I really hate them. Yeah. Yeah, I know, and the thing is that what I've stopped doing is beating myself up. When I make a mistake, I have a process. I'm going to teach you the process and you do the process. The process does not involve telling yourself what an idiot you are. Okay. It's like not involved in the process. So stay tuned and be ready to write the process down so that you can follow it. You can follow it when that, panic happens. So definitely scared, right? Scared. The other thing you might be feeling is foolish. Like, how could I do that? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And you might be going here. I don't want you to go here. You're not good enough. And this is even worse. You can't be a VA. You can't be a VA if you can't handle your mistakes, for sure, because you'll drive yourself crazy. There's so many little details that we touch, right? But a mistake doesn't mean you're not good at this. A mistake means that you need to put a process in place to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. And I'm going to talk about how to do that. I always look at the process first and then the person, right? If a mistake gets made, it's like, all right, this is a process thing, right? It needs to be done in a different order. We need to think about what we're doing in a different way. And I'm going to show you. And I have a real life example of my taxes right here. Okay. So the other thing is, we're afraid of getting fired. Oh my gosh, I just got this client. I need this client. Oh, I need the money. What am I going to do? Start to go crazy because you're afraid you're going to get fired. I've never been fired for making a mistake. There's been a consequence, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes, but I've never been fired for making a mistake. And I think it's because I'm just really clear about it. I own up to it. I look it in the eye, I figure it out. And that's what we're going to talk about today too. Okay. So let's talk about why mistakes happen. Okay. First thing, we get distracted. One of my biggest mistakes, I was distracted. I was working on a Sunday and I had agreed to work on a Sunday. And someone came into my office, one of my family, a person in my family, and started talking to me. And I broke one of my rules, which is when you get distracted in the middle of working on something, you need to start from the top again. And I didn't. I just jumped right into the middle. It was a simple thing. I had done it a million times. It was a newsletter and I forgot a link and it was important. So distractions, interruptions. And here's what we're going to talk about: working too quickly, because one of the biggest aha moments in my career was working too quickly and why that's a bad idea and why you don't need to do it. Okay. Another thing is when we're not clear about expectations, when we're not clear about what the client's trying to accomplish and we're just clicking through tasks, right? When we're not thinking about it. And I'd love to hear from you, what else? Like how, why do you think that we make mistakes? Why do you think we make mistakes? So let me know. All right. And because I want to know if I missed anything. And I want everybody to really think about this for themselves. Why do they make mistakes? All right. All right. So here's the thing, that there's a couple of psychological things we need to talk about because that's at the core of this. All right. So I know I do this too. It's not good, but I do it. If someone's working on a project for me and they make a mistake, I have to really think about, it makes me wonder about the whole thing. Was it just this, or was this mistake like throughout the whole project? For example, if you're doing a presentation for somebody and a word is spelled wrong, now you're wondering about all the words. It's common nature. It's a human nature. It's human nature. Yeah. Sabrina says, getting distracted is a big one for me. Yeah. I think the time and working too quickly takes time. I know I'm on the clock, so I want to be efficient. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. Multitasking, phone interruptions, pets, right? LOL, right? Yeah, yeah. So, oh, here we've got another one. You guys are awesome. Rushing to get the task done. Yeah, I'm going to spend some time on that, on pacing. Pacing. We have a slide about that. But so this is more for you to be aware of what's happening in the client's mind. If there's one mistake, especially if they find it, they're going to wonder about the integrity of the rest of the work. So don't take that personally. Actually be happy that you have a client that cares so much about the work that they're doing, right? That they want it to be professional and they want to, give their best product, and they want your assurance. They want your assurance. So, what you might say is, yes, I see that word is misspelled. I'm going to check the whole document now, right? And so that just lets them know that you're not just, so much of the world, I find, doesn't take that next step. And for you to be a VA in your superpowers, I want you to take that next step of thinking about, what can I do to be in service? And being in service in this case would be saying, I thank you for pointing that out. I apologize that I missed it. I'll check the whole document now, right? Because it shows that you care and it shows that you're being proactive, all right? So don't get defensive. If they, start to question the whole thing, just realize that it's important to them and answer their questions. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Now let's talk about how to minimize the mistakes. The first thing you want to do is you want to understand the whole project before you get started and get any clarification. So if, for example, you're working on something that's multifaceted, you want to make sure that you have a snapshot of it. You might need to create a little diagram, on a Post-it or, in Evernote or wherever you take your notes. But you'll definitely want to just think through what the project is, and make sure you get clarification if there's anything you don't understand, because sometimes mistakes are made because we're not really clear. The other thing is, you want to start from the top. If it's a big project, you really want to think about all the steps that are included. So for example, so my taxes. When I do my taxes, there are multiple accounts that need to be reconciled. Instead of thinking, okay, well, I know I have to do QuickBooks and I know I have to do the credit card and I have that spreadsheet I have to do, I have a checklist for doing my taxes because it only happens once a year, right? So this is a list of all of the things that I need to do, like my Rocket Girl checking account, right? And then there are some that I wrote in at the bottom because they're new and I just remembered them, okay? So my checklist is going to be updated. So instead of just, Greg is a CPA, he does all of our taxes. So instead of saying, oh yeah, here's this and here's that, and I don't know where this is, I sat down and said, okay, taxes. I'm going to think about taxes. And I wrote everything down. I thought about it, added some things in, but I'm not worried that I left anything out because I was thorough, right? So that's what you want to do. You really want to kind of understand what you're accomplishing and start from the top. Now, the other thing is to review your work from top to bottom when you're finished and ask yourself, is there, just sort of a like checking in with yourself. Is there some way I could make this better? Is there some other next step I could do to, to get this project, in even better shape than it is? So I do look at it from that point of view. Okay. So review your work from top to bottom. I have one client who I actually make a Loom video. What we're doing is we're setting up an event, and the event is paid, and there's like an email that goes out. There's her website gets changed. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I know that she likes to know stuff. She likes to know exactly what I did. So instead of thinking, oh my gosh, doesn't she trust me? Like, you got it. You bet. I start at the top, turn on Loom. Here's the change I made to your website. Here's the email that goes out automatically when the person registers. Here's the page they see after they click the submit button. Here's how you're going to get the money. Then they get a receipt. So I just show her all these things on my screen that I've worked on, and she thinks that's the best thing that ever happened. I'm charging her while I'm doing it. It only takes probably 5 minutes. But she feels like she's taken care of. That's what we really want. We want our clients to feel taken care of. All right. Now, jumping right into this, from that example, this is really important. There's two sides to every project, right? And this is another superpower that if you can develop this and get good at this, clients love. Here's what I mean. So in the example of the webinar, so I'm thinking about it in terms of the client, right? Lisa's saying, okay, so they need to be able to register. I want to get the money, blah, 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 all the things that happen, the email has to go out. We have to set up the Zoom link, all of that. But what I want you to do is I want you to also think about the participants, the person that's registering for the webinar, the person that's watching the PowerPoint that you're making, whatever the product is that you're producing for your clients. I want you to think about it from the user's point of view. So small, if there's a 20-page workbook, page numbers, right? If there's does it make sense to have a table of contents? Is there a copyright at the bottom of every page? That's really more for the client, but think about it from the usability for the client. I've been on webinars where I don't get the link the morning of the webinar. Now I'm scrambling. There was no way to get the link automatically in my calendar. That is like a fail, right? That is a fail. So you want to think about your work from the point of view, of both sides. All right. I hope that makes sense. But clients will love that, when you say, I think we should send the participants an email that morning, so it'll be at their fingertips and they'll be reminded, which is, is really a great thing to do when you're doing an event. Or I think, page numbers at the bottom of this handout will really make it a better experience. And the client's probably going to say, oh yeah, I didn't think about that, and you're such a star. Okay. So think about it. So this is how to minimize. Think about it from both sides. All right, so let's dive into this because this was a major aha moment for me. And it took me a couple of years to figure it out. So when I first started working, I worked as fast as possible. It was a little freakish how fast I was trying to work, okay? Because I heard all of this judgment in my ears of my client, oh, it took you that long? I can't believe it took you that long. No one has ever said this to me. I just made it up. And then I put all this pressure on myself. So looking back, it was totally imposter syndrome, right? Telling me I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. Instead of saying to myself, wow, you really got that done fast. So I was making silly mistakes, like maybe it was not catching a typo or, the logo is in the wrong place on the Word document because I'm just trying to be like a machine and get it out. The clients are noticing the mistakes and they're not getting like mad, but I could start to tell they were irritated. And I was like, okay, let's solve that problem. And I realized that instead of feeling like, yay, Belinda did this thing and she gave it her best, they're kind of feeling like, really, like I have to tell her this, and it wasn't like the same mistake over and over, but it was just carelessness because I was going so fast. A client would rather, my clients, most people, me, when I have people working with me, I would rather they take a whole hour and do something versus 30 minutes. And I know that it's all set, so the pace that I work at, I'm breathing, I'm listening to music. It's kind of like when you have a job, you want to think of it like that. When you have a job and you're billable, you're actively working, when you're a VA, but it's kind of this pace, not this pace, because your brain just can't do that long term. You'll end up on the floor. So just think about it in terms of being reasonable. What's a reasonable amount of time? And I also think about how long would it take the client to do it? 3 days, and you're doing it in an hour. So really, don't rush. Just really try to pace yourself. Yeah. But it took a long time for me to stop doing that. But the flip side is a disappointed client. It really is. And, 15 minutes of your time, if they're freaking out about an extra 15 minutes, they're not probably a good fit and they probably can't afford you. And so that's okay too. That's good to know, because I have had clients that really couldn't afford me and they bought time with me anyway. And so everything was like, push, 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 push. And I had to do the work at my pace. And if it wasn't a good fit, that's okay. That's okay. Everybody's not a good fit, thank goodness, because I don't have time to work with everybody. I just have time to work with, the people who I'm working with. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's wrap it up here. Just talking through the last steps of, okay, now we've made the mistake. The first thing, so when we find the mistake, that's much happier than when the client finds the mistake, right? So quiet your mind, like, quiet your mind so you can think. Then I want you to retrace your steps. Where did the mistake happen? What was I doing? Really think about it with a calm, clear mind. Don't assume anything. That's like, I know I didn't put my keys in the kitchen drawer and they're in the kitchen drawer. So don't assume that, don't assume anything. Retrace your steps from the top. Okay. All right. If it's a public mistake, you're going to have a talk with your client, and we're going to talk about what that is. If you're updating a website and you have you put the picture in the wrong place and you publish it and then you realize it right away and you fix it, that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay. If you put it in the wrong place and it's up there for 2 weeks and it's completely wrong, and you realize it, you're going to need to say something to the client. We're going to talk about the formula for how to do that. And then the other thing is, communication is key. Communication and understanding that you might think the wrong link in a newsletter is not a big deal. To the client, it could be humiliating, right? So you have to leave space for them to kind of talk. And we're gonna talk about that in a minute as well. Okay, so Deanna says, I need to learn to believe that statement. I think you're probably talking about that the client, wants you to take extra time. And getting comfortable enough to breathe while working has been my hardest mindset to bring myself with. I know. The music helps. The music helps a lot. And yeah, I'm going to think more about that. Maybe we'll do a live stream just on that. But I just kind of think of it like, it's like walking in the mall. It's that pace. You're not trying to run to the store. You're just walking in the mall and you're kind of looking in the windows. If you can kind of put yourself in that kind of, mindset, you're not crawling, but you're not running. You're not running. It's just like, okay, one step at a time. All right. Okay. So now when the client finds the mistake, it is more difficult because you don't know it's there, right? Because you would have fixed it. And they might call you on the phone and you just answer, hi, Nancy, and it's like, boom, and they might not be relaxed about it. They might be really stressed out. So what you've got to do in that case is definitely breathe. You've got to listen to them and you have to let them talk. Okay. And unless they're wrong and you're sure, like, oh no, I fixed that, you have to let them talk. And try to remain as neutral as possible. Okay. And then you can respond. Use as few words as possible, not to be cryptic, but to not get, no drama in this zone. It's just really language of reporting. Like, I did this and then this happened and I didn't realize that happened, so you want to just really respond and you want to apologize. You don't need to throw yourself on your sword, meaning like kill yourself or impale yourself, but you do need to own up to it. And it can be as simple as, I'm really sorry. I had no idea that happened. Let's see what I can do to fix it. And then stop talking, right? So here's what you want to do. So I had a client, let's talk about the missing link. All right. The missing link in the newsletter happened because I got distracted and it was a big deal for the client. And it was not a missing link. It was a wrong link. It was worse than missing. It was wrong. Okay. Because that is worse, right? Missing is like, whoops. Wrong is like, so anyway, so what I did was I apologized. I showed understanding. What I said, I know how important having the correct link is to you. I understand your I think I understand your relationship with the people that went to the email went to. It's critical for you. It's the way you grow your business. I'm sorry that happened, right? So acknowledge what they said. Explain what happened. I know what happened. I got distracted, and I didn't go back to the top. I didn't go back to the top. And then what I said was that I've made a checklist of all the things that I do when I do your newsletter. So here, now I have a checklist, and then you have to assure them. And this can take a little longer than you think it might. You might be like, really? We're still talking about this? I had one client talk about a mistake for months, and I just had to be like, okay, and with no attitude, but it's like, this is her process, and okay. And so then what I did was I assured this client. So every time I published his newsletter and sent him a test, I said, hi, client, here's the test is coming your way. I checked the link. It was to a podcast. I checked the podcast link on my end, and it looks good. So I acknowledged it for probably a month or so. We did this weekly, and letting you know I checked, and then and then I just kind of let it go from that point. Yeah. All right. So I want to tell you about something. And while I do, I want to hear from you. What's the mistake that you're most scared about? Or what is it about mistakes that you're like, oh my gosh? So tell me in the chat. And Karen says, I think owning a mistake is huge, not blaming something or someone else for why it happened. Yeah. And sometimes it can be an outside thing, but you have to look at what your part in it is, no matter what it is. Like if my team, does something and sends out the wrong email, it could happen. I don't lose my mind. I'm like, okay, how can we make that not happen again? Oh, we need to put that in Trello. Oh, we need to write ourselves a reminder. Oh, we need to add that to our process, right? And then we can all relax again. So it's important to look at the system first, and then the person, and do that to yourself too. Don't immediately assume that you're clueless. Just think, okay, what happened? How did that happen? All right, let's see what Deanna says. I need to remind myself that I'm human. Yeah, I'll have to make a list of all of my mistakes that I made this week. It absolutely happens. So I want you guys to know about my upcoming 5-day challenge. We're starting Monday, 5-day VA Client Kickstart Challenge, where I'm going to teach you step by step how to get a steady stream of clients in your business. On day 1, we talk about the services that you offer. On day 2, we talk about how to talk about your work in a way that people understand it and can tell other people. Really critical. Day 3, we talk about where the clients are hiding and how to get in front of them. Day 4, we talk about all the support systems that you need to grow and run your VA business day to day. And then that same day, I'm opening my doors to VA School, which is my signature program where I teach VAs how to start from exactly where they are and grow a thriving VA business. On day 5, on Friday, we're going to have an epic Q&A session where you're going to get all your questions answered. So I'd love for you to sign up. In order to do that, go to vachallenge.info. You'll be brought to a page. You'll see my picture at the top. You can sign up, and I'd love to have you. If you've done the challenge once, twice, 3 times, however many times, sign up again if you want to do it. The more the merrier. Absolutely, the more the merrier. So I hope you'll join me. There's replays. We are noon every day at noon Eastern time, but there'll be replays. There's a workbook. There's prizes. There's points. All of the things. And we're going to be giving away some strategy sessions with me, and also some of our courses. We're going to be giving away too. So I hope you'll join me. All right. So it doesn't look like we have any more comments, but thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. I'm thrilled that you're here. Again, I'm Belinda Sandor. I'm the founder of the VA Connection. Thank you for coming to this episode of Lessons from the Cockpit, and I'll see you next Friday at noon Eastern. Bye-bye. Have a great week.